Hey everyone, Temporal here, and for this session we are reviewing a console Ashe player. We're just going to call them a newbie for now, because even though they've got 89 levels, this is like their second game in comp. They don't have a placement rank yet. So let's see what they've got. They feel like they're struggling.
It's good to have backup.
Always glad to lend you a hand, Dr. Ziegler.
Let's move that. Excellent. And back to what we're doing here. We're going to go for an opening TNT or no?
Hey.
So, that's
I'll
okay.
run this show. 5, 4. We have an understanding.
I don't really love this angle. Yeah, rotate better. No, this is even worse.
Defend objective A.
You could start like here. This could be an angle that you could start on where you could throw your TNT and then pop it, take your shot, etc. But you want a little bit of distance. This is honestly pretty close to them. Like you can close the angle decently with this, but this is pretty close to them. I would really like you to have a little bit more distance-wise here that you could be working with, etc. so that you don't instantly get jumped on, get dealt with, etc. I can live with this. I wasn't in love with it. Really, you're going to end up rotating back, but for your opening shot, I do not want you going over here. That you don't have mobility to get out. Your mobility is your coach weapon there, and that's good for moving you up, but it's not good for getting you out. So you going back here after the match has started, unless you're cleaning up staggers in a fight that your team has already won, this is much more likely to get you in trouble than out of it. And even if you trade 1-for-1 back here, which you're not likely to do because there's 6 of them and 1-2 of you over here, that's not going to be great because their spawn is way closer than yours. What D.Va is doing isn't great, but it's a little bit different, a little bit better because she's playing at max range, throwing that out, and she'll, as soon as those missiles are over, leave, and she has boosters to get out. You have no such tool. So you're going to have to not get found until they get to here, and then when they actually commit, you're going to have to like pick up 2 or 3 eliminations from behind for this to be worth, which is doable, but you're really putting it all on yourself here, and you can just get found on the way in. Yeah, he could. I was considering talking about the opening dynamite. This is comp, Gamebuster. It's a placement match, but this is comp. He just hasn't done comp before. This is like his second game in comp or something, or maybe her. I don't know. So he could go for the opening dynamite and get some charge. That was the other option, to go right here, throw the dynamite, pop it. It's pretty safe to do so. You're likely to get some ult charge. You're potentially then not going to have it when you really want it here, but you should be very close to having it, and you should be able to get them when they're again about here, even if they're really fast on their rotations, and they probably won't be. You'll probably have it again in plenty of time. Oh boy, no. How are you going to get out? Oh, moments before disaster. Oh boy. This is going to be a disaster. Okay. So I gave you some options. Early dynamite here and immediately leave. Set up here, take a shot or a dynamite, and then you can go play this angle, etc. Take a shot at or a dynamite, and then you can close the angle, etc. Quietly, wait, say like in this corner, crouched, etc., hoping they don't see you. And when they actually start to push past this, double tap someone in the back, chuck dynamite, etc., and just trade out, knowing that you're going to go down, but that you can potentially take some people with you if your aim is good, because they're probably not going to see you here. This was in absolutely no way was this an option. You're just standing here where they can see you. Your cover is here, but that doesn't work as cover because they're just going to come around. You don't have a way out. It doesn't bring you back to your team in any way. You weren't going to be able to get out of here in time. You weren't going to be able to get out of here. Like this was, they're just going to run over you as 6. You see this? Your D.Va knew that she couldn't stay here, and your D.Va left, and your team is terrified that you're standing here right now. You have to think about, how do I get out? Because if you weren't going to go 1v6, this was never going to work. This was never going to work. Reaper's story is different. Reaper has Wraith. He can go up, I have my invulnerability cooldown, I'm just going to Wraith out and potentially get out like this. You don't have mobility to do that. If you were Winston or D.Va, maybe you could shift up here, jump up here with your abilities, etc. But this is just so not okay positioning-wise. Yes, it is console, Gamebuster. I'm not going to encourage him to play behind the Orisa shield. I'm much more interested in him taking angles, but not there.
Let's clean up this
That's not to
mess.
say he can never use the Orisa shield, but
We need to defend
angles
the
are
objective. Defend
angles are
the
king.
objective. I got it.
It's a Yanni temporal.
Here it comes.
Okay, give me my full speed game.
We need to defend the objective. I got it. Here it comes.
Okay, so you're blue. That's just kind of lazy aim right here. Like you're not even trying. The first couple shots, yeah, you were close to the Lucio. You're shooting at the card. Okay, now you're adjusting without shooting. Good. Okay, so there's a couple things here. Coming back like this, acceptable. It's acceptable. But honestly, this would have been an even better time for what we talked about before, which was, hey, get behind your opponents and surprise them. So actually coming in here, you could potentially headshot or double tap that soldier before he's even aware that you've returned to the fight. Instead of going back this way, right back to point, which you see point still has plenty of people on it. Your team is losing, but your team is not, how shall I say this, defeated yet. So you could have just walked right out here and been like, yeah, I'm going to double tap this soldier and take him down, or I'm going to throw my TNT here and do work. Like, this is better. And if they turn and shoot at you, unlike before, you would have the option to go, I'm going to retreat over through to here, because that can actually keep me alive. Here, from here, you can safely get out like this. You can immediately close the angle if soldier turns and shoots at you. From here, you were just doomed. You had to run like, oh, and that might not feel like it, but that's a lot longer. Or you had to run, oh, and they're perfectly willing to chase you until you get to about here. So like too long to get to cover, and then way too long of a chase before you're safe. Here, you've got your cover immediately, and your chase is a bit shorter before you've got all your friends with you, etc. So please do a better job here. You have no concept of the danger that you're in. That's not how we use the coach weapon. We use the coach weapon to go up here, and then we go, oh sweet, now I can just, this railing breaks. And then once the railing's broken, you just go, oh hey, I'll just go a little higher. Oh hey, and you just get to shoot fish in a barrel there. It's fantastic. Do that. Now, this point's lost, but you need to take better positions by a lot.
Objective
Time to change
lost.
things up.
Stop the payload.
Shoot at the tires, Game Buster. There we go. But he wasn't aiming at the tires, or she wasn't aiming at the tires.
Smoke 'em out of there.
Little slow. Conceptually not opposed to the concept of, hey, let's TNT someone that's run behind cover, because that can be the finish on them if you've already done work and you had already done work on him. Just a little slow with that TNT if that's your intent, because he's got plenty of places to go back there. Oh, and it rolled down the steps. Unfortunate. It's gone. It's gone. You have to leave it be. But you could aim down. Please aim down. Please aim down further and look at the enemy that you know is hidden from your screen by your barrel here. Please. Please. They're... No, you guys are down someone. Okay. Good. Good. You forced beat. We'll take it. That's something helpful that you've now done, and part of why you were able to do that is this is much better positioning than you had on the first two fights or the first two engagements you were involved in on first point. This is much better positioning, and that's why it's working. So good stuff. You're just going to close the angle now. You either immediately try to eliminate soldier, you shoot at him to draw his attention to you and you close the angle, or you just close the angle. They have a ton of temporary health right now. You're not going to get anything done, so you either draw attention and close the angle, or you just close the angle. Closing the angle meaning go behind the cover. Please. Please. Why would you TNT now? This is a great time to be reloading. They still have a bunch of temporary health. This is a great time to be reloading. Why would you interrupt your reloading to throw out your ability, which will now go on cooldown and is mostly going to burn away temporary health? Like, if your team was hard going to burst through this, sure, no problem. And maybe your Reaper is. Maybe you're deciding, I believe in my Reaper, so I want to continue to distract them hard. I want to get the burn on there, and then my Reaper will finish them. That's okay. But most of the time you'd look at this and go, I have cover available. I think now is a lovely time to reload rather than fight them through their support ultimates. They're not any threat to me. I think a support hero that can slow the objective Game Buster would make 2 CP absolutely painful. It would make finishing maps absolutely painful because you would see it like constantly come out as a switch 2 hero on defense at the end of the map. I'm really not a fan of that actually. I think a support hero that speeds up cap time might actually be more interesting because you can't abuse that the same way. You have to actually have brought the hero the whole time to get value out of that. Okay, you're trying. Okay. Like, that was a long time for us to not TNT, but the problem is you just missed too many shots. Like, this, unfortunately, is an aim thing. So here you are. You take that shot. That's a bubble. Bubble's gone, so you're going to go back to shooting. And you've decided you want Zarya. And you're close, but you don't quite get it. Like, it's just too many missed shots. And this is so long that you could have dropped a TNT over here for good value, etc. But you're constantly close to the finish, so you want it. And you're not wrong to stay on it to try to get the finish. You're just wrong, unfortunately, to miss the shots. I don't know if you've turned down your aim assist because I'm not used to console players struggling with somewhat close shots like this. I don't know if you turned it down so that you could, fight it better for headshots or something, but you might want to look into it. I'm going to trust Brady, the console player, if he has any advice here for how to do it. You should read through the comments if you're watching this video in the future, and comments will be enabled so you'll have been able to see them, because it looks like some of these shots are the type that I'm used to. I don't usually see console players miss by these narrow margins. I think the aim assist usually covers that, but, I'm not the expert.
Understood. My ultimate is almost
Changing our angle, that's fine. Your team is sort of gone, so at this point you're not going to win the fight. You're just looking to get an elimination very safely. If you go down, it's not at all worth it. But if you can pick off a quick elimination while they're not looking at you, that's fine, and it'll give your team a small window. And you don't have the angle anymore. Don't do this! Don't do this! I know you think that this is your way out, and it sort of is, but like... this is not good. Not good. Turn and take your shot. Now that you've done this, you might as well turn too late. So you just gave up all your positioning for nothing. Proper way to do this, by the way, was to just walk over here, wait until your team was ready, then go here, and then once your team was a credible threat to go, oh, I'm going to pink the Reinhardt, or, oh, let me just quickly delete the soldier. Yes, Game Buster, yes, it's true. So, let's look at where this Zarya came from, because it matters. Walked up this way. So you potentially would have seen this up here and could have been like, oh, I'm going to take shots at you before you can engage on me. That would be pretty good. Oh well. Because you dropped, you didn't see it ahead of time. you're gonna struggle with that fight at close range. Like that is her optimal range.
Nothing wrong with a little self-improvement. My
Probably
ultimate is ready.
Ambraddy.
Smoke 'em out of there.
Okay, so here we are. This is fine. I can live with this. You do that to keep him away. Good move. Good move to keep him away. You don't want to throw your TNT until you have something useful that you can do with it. So you're throwing the TNT, and of course he has the option to wraith away from that. Like your TNT sort of is your big ability, your damage ability, and you know he already failed to wraith your shift there on console, not shift, your coach weapon there. So you don't really want to throw your TNT at him when, of course, he's going to wraith it. You want to have that for after he's going to wraith, after wraith is over and he can't dodge it, etc. Or you could use it to try to get the wraith early so that you can then use your coach on him, etc. But you already got your coach on him, so you should just be continuing to try to stay away while you take shots, kite back as you take shots, and see if you can force wraith out with your primary fire. That's what you're looking to do here. This was always going to get wraithed. It was always going to get wraithed, and now you're boned. And you started kiting too late. Yeah.
Time to change things up.
Oh, Genji, eh? Okay.
Barrier is out of existence.
Wait, why would you drop? Why would you drop? This was perfectly fine. Stand up here and throw shurikens at them. They're probably not even going to pay attention to you until you've thrown 2 or 3 volleys. Stand up here. Lines up easier headshots, gives you a nice angle on people that you can work on. Don't drop into the middle. Don't do this. No! No! Can we not be in slow-mo? Good. Not intentionally Silver Dawn, but yes, as you can see, I was at 1.0 speed, but it was still rolling slow because there's been a bug since 2, maybe 3 patches ago now, where sometimes when you change the speed, it just decides to apply a slow-mo to it, even when you're at 1.0, 1.75, etc. And you just have to keep toggling it until it goes away. Okay, that's not how we use dash. We use dash to finish people, otherwise we end up in the middle of danger without dash. And we need dash to get out, so we need our dash to finish someone off, not to just do damage to them, because if it's not the finish, we're caught in a bad place on Genji. We do not have the ability to survive inside the enemy lines. We need our dash available to get out, which means if we use a dash, we have to get the dash reset, which means we have to immediately get the elimination. And I do mean immediately. You just dashed at a tank that was at basically full health. I still want you up on one of these balconies. Like up over here you could do work, up over here you could do work. It'd be great. They would have to pick between looking at you or your Sigma. You'd have the angle for the headshots. It's what you want. Okay, so positioning is going to be a big issue for us to work on here.
Die. Ready for battle.
Back to Ashe, fine by me.
Ready for battle.
Imagine the worst possible outcome. Join now. Avoid it.
Emoting and spawn for extra points. Okay.
1.
Didn't get hit by the fire strike. Way too late on that. They will have backed off. That is like, you doing that is like what you do. Like you seem to be in the like standing here, or standing here is a perfect, or standing here is perfectly acceptable. Most opponents are going to understand that they want to be in their space. They want to be on their side of the choke before the battle happens. So this TNT is way too slow. You are going to want a TNT once you get to here and can potentially go, hey, we're fighting. Let me hop up here because you can do that with your coach ability. And then from here you can take shots. You can throw shift. You can drop back to join your team. That's what you'd be looking to do. Not sure why we went this way, but okay.
Smoke him out of there.
Scoot left. Scoot left. No. No. You want to scoot over here, where if the McCree peeks, you challenge him, and if he doesn't, you shoot into the side of these guys. I'm okay with you here, where you've sort of got cover against the McCree. I wanted you further back here, where you had cover against the McCree, but I don't want you getting in the front line up here. Don't do that. Yeah, you got too close. The TNTs need to either be into groups or for finishes, and that Reinhardt was nowhere near being finished.
Let's clean up this mess. Understood.
Hey.
On my way.
Thank you, my friend.
My pleasure.
Thanks.
Good. Why are you looking down? You do not need to look down to reload. It takes away information. Even if you aren't going to be firing at stuff, it takes away information by looking down rather than looking at opponents, at places opponents could come from. That's a bad habit. This would be a good place for TNT if you had it, but you don't. Good. No, just take the shot. Don't use your ability. Here you have 11 shots, just take your shots. If anything, you'd take your shot, then use your ability, because after you've taken your shot, he might realize you're here, and you don't want him to do that because he could flash you. So, like, you'd take your shot, then use your ability. Whatever, you got him. You're too close. You're too close. Why have you transitioned up to this point? You were perfectly fine back here, taking shots from here. You have a weapon with a scope. You have a long weapon. Like, you use it from here. Don't walk up to point to fight with it. That's not your strength. You were much happier back here. If we're finishing off a point that we're hard winning, sure, you can come in. But you were quite strong here. You're much worse up here. Oh, that Lucio knows he's got the jukes on you. Yeah, you don't want to be close to these fights. Let your Reinhardt go in while you play deep back and preferably back at an
Change
angle.
things up. I got it. My ultimate is almost ready.
Get in here.
Touchdown. On my way.
Yeah, that's what people do, though. You gonna bob this? Too late. Leave. Leave. This fight is over. You can't still be here. You need to leave. Actually, your best route is probably up through here and then pop out. No! You see what I'm talking about here? You have no friends on this side of the choke. This is the main choke on first, at least at your level. And you see how you have no other friends on your side of it and their whole team is alive? There is no way that you can be here. Absolutely no way. Once your Reinhardt went down, it was time to get out. And this was your best path out. But you need much more awareness of your distance to the enemies. You're way too close and they were always going to...
Do something!
Speaking of how many friends you have, all of your friends are on this side of the choke. All of them. Bap is meaningless right now. Mercy's pretty meaningless right now. Junkrat, pretty meaningless right now. 2 of your teammates are in spawn. 1 hasn't even spawned into existence yet. This is a 1v6. It's a 1v6. You are using your most powerful ability, your ultimate, which has, a long time before you're going to get it back again. This is your first use of your ultimate, and we're 2.5 minutes into the round. You only have another minute and a half in this round, so you might not get another one of these, and you are using it in this 1v6 situation. Even if it were to get you an elimination, which it is unlikely to, because this is a 1v6 situation, they're going to be able to protect whoever it's doing damage to, and they're going to be able to eliminate you. But even if it were to, they're still going to eliminate you and be just fine. And they won't have spent ults to do it. You want to use your ult in fights that are even or very close to even. And you actually generally want to use them pretty early in fights that are even or pretty close to even. So you want to look to use your Bob in like a 6v6, 5v5, maybe a 6v5 or a 5v6. You're looking for those types of situations. Really the best time for most ults is when the team fight has started, when it's actually like 6 players versus 6 players and all 6 of your team members are relevant and a few abilities have come out, but pretty early before anyone else uses an ultimate, because they're going to recognize that time too. You want to use it while it's still a 6v6, because that's when it's going to be best, the fight is still balanced, but you get the most value out of your ultimates when people have started to use their cooldowns. Lucio doesn't have boop on cooldown, Ryan doesn't have charge on cooldown, Ryan's shield is a bit more tired, Ball doesn't have pile drive available, Zarya doesn't have one of her bubbles, Junkrat is missing a trap. Like, you get the most value when a couple cooldowns have already come out from the other team, but there's still 5 or 6 people on both teams. That's when you're going to see the most value. There are not 6 people on your team. There's 1 person engaged in this fight on your team. So you simply can't use your ultimate here. You simply have to hold it for the next life. You should have already left, but at this point you have to hold your ultimate for the next life. You're just making it so that your next push is weaker. Have fun, Game Buster.
That was not in the plan.
Make sure you have that target in mind for Coalescence.
My servants never die.
Capturing the objective.
60 seconds remaining. It needs more subjective aid to capture. Escort the payload.
Step inside. Stay alive.
Angle. Yeah, I'll live. You didn't have a good angle to take yet.
Thank you.
Okay.
Smoke them out of there.
You do have to hit the TNT when you throw it. They'll back away from it if you don't hit your shot most of the time. Nope, because now you're going to have to wait on the cooldown for another one to get over this. This isn't the path.
This is not understood.
Get in here.
Or it's not path through. It's a path, of course, but it's not path through. Okay. Yeah. So I'd like you to get a little more over here, but really what I wanted you to do is when your team was here, I wanted you to go, hey, can I play from here? Can I play from here, etc. And then you can retreat to your team pretty easy, but you have a nice wide angle, etc. But hey, positioning is a problem that we need to work on.
My ultimate is charging. I got it.
Push forward.
Smoke them out of there.
All better.
Oh boy.
Smoke them out of there.
All better.
That's okay. I think I've been trolled once before. They still refuse to admit it, but I got a pistol only Mercy that I reviewed. It was great. They weren't actually pistol only. They'd mix in like a tiny bit of healing when people were full health, or damage boost when people were 30%, to like try and hide the fact that they were trolling. But it was kind of fun. Like it was like, oh, okay, now that I realize what I'm reviewing, let's actually figure out how to optimize this pistol only Mercy. Okay, so I was getting distracted here. So that's okay, but I'd really prefer you to have your cover. Like your cover is actually back here for you to be able to tuck behind it. So I'd again prefer you a little more here where you have the option to tuck on your cover. But here we are. You do that. Fortunately, that doesn't come at you, but you're too far from your cover, so this hook does. Yep. Yep. I mean, you've got positioning issues, you've got aim issues, you've got recognizing how many people are in the team fight issues. Of those, aim is the hardest to fix probably, but we can certainly work on the positioning, and we'll be working on recognizing. So how many team... So at a very basic level, this looks like a 5v5, and they have an ult going and you don't. So we're probably not interested in going super hard into this, but let's try. This is a place that you could think about using your bot. This, just timing wise, like we think, okay, how many teammates are where? So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teammates that are all in this fight, and they also have something like 5 teammates that are in this fight. Now, their trans is going, but this is the sort of place you could think about using your bot. This would be useful.
Do something!
But probably not there. Like, I'll live. It's not absolutely awful, but they're all in here, so we probably needed to get our Bob like here, where it was a little more in the way, a little more annoying to them, etc. Not out here. Here, Roadhog is just going to go, yeah, that's annoying, and take 2 steps to close the angle, and Bob is going to stop shooting at him. Oh well.
Payload's on the
That
way.
worked. Yeah, he's finding some targets.
Smoke 'em out of there.
Okay. Is that what I need to do if I'm ever starved for content, Gamebuster?
I'm gonna get
I just
you
need
for
to go
that.
go play really bad myself intentionally and then go review it. Could be interesting.
Here it comes.
60 seconds remaining.
So this is fine, but this would be even better. And you'd be relatively safe, and you'd have a nice good angle. It would be cool. I don't like you walking into your team like this. This happens. Like, even if you hadn't been shattered, I still wouldn't have wanted you walking into your team like this. You're playing 2 front lines. See how you're playing on top of your ball? You're playing a couple feet away from your Reinhardt. I don't mind you playing here. This would have been better because you have your own cover that you can use, but I don't really want you just out in the open, and I don't really want you with your front line. I'm not starved for content. I was saying it as a hypothetical. There's plenty for me to review out there.
Let's clean up this mess.
I still have use for you. 30 seconds remaining.
We're running out of time.
Okay, please take the high grounds. Please take the high grounds. Please take the high grounds. This would be more powerful. You stand here, you take your shots, etc. It would have taken you an extra couple seconds to contribute to the fight, but instead, hey, this Junkrat will probably do something interesting. that might be the best TNT you've thrown all game.
10
Yeah.
seconds remaining.
Attack! Keep moving forward.
I got it.
Here and get burned.
Overtime.
Pass into the iris.
Here it comes. My servants never die.
Game, stop it. Give me real speed.
Here it comes. My servant.
Okay. Why are you walking closer to this? Your ball's clearly anchoring point. Why are you pressing your thumbstick forward? You do not need to be in this fight. You need to be back here, where you have this nice long angle and you can peek over here and be like pew 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 and take them down, and then, you know, sort of hide from them behind this and reload, and then take your shots, etc., and then toss a TNT over, etc. Like, this is where you need to be. There's no reason for you to walk to point. I promise that your ball knows he needs to anchor point. You are not the hero to come touch point. You are the hero to use your long weapon to go, yep, let me just scope in, take these shots, it'll be great. Plus, it'll be pressure, because they're getting pressure this direction from, like, the ball and maybe the Mercy, and then they're getting pressure this direction from you, and you have a much better effective range than them from here. Don't do this. Like, you walked closer, and then you realized you didn't want to be close, so you used your coach weapon to knock yourself out. Like, you just put your own ability on cooldown and made your positioning worse. Oh boy. I'm glad it worked out, but you're making yourself run uphill.
Here it comes.
She wanted to take a closer look.
My ultimate is almost
Okay, we're taking an angle. Good, good. Don't go this far out. Your angle here with your cover option was just as good. Just as good from here as you are from here, except you have better safety here. You can tuck here if you take damage and be safe.
This is not your time.
Gonna go for a deep TNT? Deep TNT would be good. No. Okay.
60
TNT?
seconds remaining.
We're not hitting that juicy TNT.
Bob, do something.
Okay. It's not terrible. I don't like it, but it's not terrible.
Fire in the hole.
With all those juicy TNT options you had before, this is the TNT you throw? This one? This one. Why are we pressing forward against McCree? We do not want to get closer range against McCree. If we get closer, he can flash and eliminate us. If we're far away, we're actually better than him. If we're at mid-range, it's relatively fair. But why are we walking closer to a McCree, and why are we doing it when we have, like, no. No. Not only are we walking closer to a McCree, which means they can flash us, we're opening up our angle, so we're this wall, which was here, protecting us from these guys. By going forward, we can shoot the McCree from here just fine. By going forward, we make it so that we're potentially closer to the McCree, where he can roll flash us, and we also make it so these guys who couldn't see us before now can see and shoot at us. But we can't shoot at them because we're looking at the McCree. We can't shoot here and shoot here at the same time. It's one or the other for us. So let's make it, hey, let's back up here, and then only the McCree can see us, and these guys have to peek out here to shoot at us, and then they open themselves up to being shot at by our BAP. You see how that works? There's angles, and if we're here, we can shoot that way, McCree can shoot this way, these guys can't see us. If we're here, these guys can see us. If we're not here, but instead here, and these guys step out to here so that they can see us, then our BAP can see them and shoot at them. Like, no need to needlessly expose ourselves out here to make a fight closer range that we don't want to be closer range. None of this walking towards the enemies stuff that you've been doing. TNT? TNT? What are you doing? What is all this walk forward, then coach weapon yourself back thing? Like, no. Just don't walk forward in the first place. I mean, maybe, but that's definitely not the value of it. Yeah, no, I understand, but that's just not the value of it. It's a good observation, but it's not how we want to use the thing. The primary value of that ability is its ability to move Ashe. Its second most valuable thing is its ability to be a small boop on an opponent. The third piece of its ability is, oh yeah, it does a little bit of damage, but the damage is not what we're interested in, or not what we should be interested in.
What a bunch of misfits and freaks.
Hey.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
Okay.
How y'all doing?
Hello there.
G'day, mate.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I got it.
Attackers incoming.
This is better. No, 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 no. I was almost happy. You almost had reasonable positioning. This was reasonable. This was reasonable. You can TNT them right as they get to the corner. You can try and hit an opening shot before you TNT them. And then as soon as anyone remotely scary like a Roadhog looks at you or a Hanzo or whatever, you just go, nope, I'm out. And you drop back here. But you don't need to drop before...
Regen burst activated.
No.
Smoke him out of there.
Okay, that's actually okay. Yeah. Junk, junk. No, not TNT. You walked into that fire strike. Okay, you shot at the bubbled Rhine, like right at the bubble 3 times there. When you shoot at that bubble, it absorbs damage, but it also gives Zarya energy. So unless you expect that your team can burst through and eliminate that Reinhardt, before your entire team is on the same page, if we're bursting through and eliminating this Reinhardt in the next second or so, don't shoot at bubbles that you know are bubbles. Just move and shoot at the edge of his shield instead. And sometimes you do a little damage because you'd already pulled the trigger, you'd mentally already sort of pulled the trigger and you don't react fast enough, and that's fine, but don't double down on your mistake unless you're actually planning to burst the bubble because you're going to take the target down in the next second or two. Deal with the Junkrat. Good. Good.
Target in sight.
You can actually swing around here and take shots. Just like that Junkrat was doing, it's actually pretty good. His timing was bad, but his idea was right. You can do the same thing and peek over here, and you'll either meet a soldier that you'll duel for control of this angle, or you'll leave and get heals, etc. Or you'll go, hey, let me just take down some people that aren't looking at me, and when they look, I'll just close the angle again, and I can potentially retreat back to my team, or I can wait 1 second, 2 seconds, peek again, take more shots, because they will have given up on looking, and they'll be looking back at your team, because they don't want to have a bunch of downtime.
I got it.
Within the immortality field.
You're still 2 in the fight. You're 2 in the fight, and this coach weapon, you use it to pop up to here, so that you are more removed from the fight, you have your choice of targets, and you can still close the angle by going back there, by crouching and backing up, etc. That's what you want to use that ability for. Oh boy. I liked your first idea. Going this way and taking that quick shot, finishing off Anna. You don't need to be fighting from on top of or right behind your tanks. And I appreciate you now trying to create a little distance and not being right on top of your tanks, but I would have preferred you be up here. You go over here and take this elimination. Like, through launch. Nope. That'll be the end. Yep.
Immortality field destroyed.
The battle continues.
Okay. Was that a questionable charge? Oh, from Blue Rhine? Let me go take a look. I don't remember what it was. Blue Rhine. Let's rewind a little more. Oh, Red Rhine earlier? Okay. I don't know that I'm willing to go back to earlier. So... Okay, I'll go one earlier. No, this was fine. He was predicting the path of the pile drive. He made sure to end it here. It's not perfect. I mean, he's exposed to the opponents, but he was never gonna. He was very unlikely to accidentally get knocked off and go this direction, etc. This was okay. Like, I don't like that he finishes his unwind in what is space that the enemy could be shooting down, but he's got his Zarya in front of him. This was reasonable. Oh, later? Well, okay. Yeah, it is. I mean, his back line is still back here and won't be able to adequately support him. Fortunately, Zarya got the bubble on him, but his back line won't be able to adequately support him. He's going to end up either here or here, and he's not going to get quick help. He'd have a little better argument if Blue was more tucked down here still at this time, but they're not. They're more here, so he's going to get punished pretty hard. Should get punished pretty hard. Yeah, it's about right. Okay, so that's going to do it in terms of major things for this Ashe player to work on. The first thing is going to be positioning. Positioning contains a lot of different things, but the first thing I want this Ashe to work on is positioning to not be in the front line with her tanks. I want her either further back or at different angles. That's how I want her positioned. So if her Reinhardt is here, she should not be here. She could be back here. If her Reinhardt is here, she should generally not be here, but she could be here if she wants. She could also be here. If her Reinhardt is here, she could be up here. That's primarily what I want from this Ashe. If her Reinhardt is here, she should not be just, chilling right here, etc., especially if her other 4 teammates are back here. We're looking to have a little more distance between us and our tank line because we are a ranged hero when we're playing Ashe. We're also looking to significantly change the use of our coach weapon. So we're going to do much less walk at the enemy than press our ability to create distance again, and we're doing much more if the enemy closes on us, maybe we use it to create distance, but most of the time the way we create distance is we use it to quickly take high ground because we're really powerful from high ground. High ground sort of makes it safe. It makes it hard for people like Zarya to get at us, Reinhardt to get at us. It makes it so people have to shoot up, which is uncovered uncomfortable. It gives us the ability to back up a couple steps and crouch so that they can't hit us. It sort of gives us almost unilateral control over whether the fight is happening or not, whether we're in the fight or not, which is really good. So we're not going to play in our own front line, and we're going to use our ability, our coach gun there, to take high ground much more often. We're not going to use it to go, we're not going to walk into the front line and then try to use it for like damage or go, I walked in and now I'm too close and now I get back out, etc. Sometimes we'll use it to create distance, but that's because people got close to us, not because we got close to them. Those are two things that are going to do a lot. There's a lot more we could work on, ult timing, some aim stuff, some interesting reload interrupts, some TNT use. Like there's a lot that we can do, but let's start with those two things and work on them one at a time. So go, hey, I don't want to be in the front line. I don't want to be in the front line. I'm looking to position at angles. I'm looking to position further back. Maybe I'm looking to position high ground, but I don't want to be in the front line with my Reinhardt. And sort of focus on that for 10 games. See if it changes your play a little bit. And then once you feel like your play is actually evolved and you're not finding yourself in the front line unless the enemy's got to you. Sometimes you're in the front line because your tank is down and the enemies have now gotten to you, and that's fine. But once you've done that, then start working on changing your, I mean, really, you might actually have to do the coach weapon usage first. That might be the first thing to focus on. You need to do both, and they're really closely tied together. So change the coach weapon usage. Again, you're not walking in and using it to get out. You're using it to take high ground. If people show up on you, you might use it to get out, but you're not walking into situations that force you to use it. You're going to be very conscious of that. Work on those two things. Work on them best you can one at a time. Spend like 10, 15 games really thinking about, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm using my ability. This is how I'm thinking about positioning. And then you can review one of your own games. You don't need me to review it again, though you certainly can. My rates are in my Discord. But you can short-term review it yourself to see, am I making improvement? Am I really doing this better than I was before? And if so, great. If not, you got to make sure you continue working on it. Okay, if you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what my rates look like, see what sort of promos, events we have coming up, or, send in your own ideas of what they could be on the Discord, etc. All that stuff is appreciated. And then question-wise, we talked about the Rhine charge. This one. What if her Rhine is Ball? Then she should be even further away because Ball is going to be deeper in the opponent than Rhine is. Probably not right now, Game Buster. I've got some prep work to do for some off-air coaching, so probably not now. I'll do some stuff later in the evening, I'd expect, and I'll try to double up tomorrow because I know I've been light on my earlier in the day stuff for the later part of this week, so I'll try to double up a bit more over the weekend here, but probably not going to have another live stream this morning. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys. Temporal out.